It's Etzion Becker from Haifa, Israel. Today, the 12th October 2025. We will start with a musical piece. This time I discovered something unusual. 10,000 people playing and singing together the Ode of Joy by Beethoven. By some Japanese choir. They filled in a stadium for this. And it was presumably recorded 15, 20 years ago, more or less. I think it's unbelievable. Let me see if it didn't escape. There it is. Share it with you.
Nicht diese Töne, sondern lass uns angenehmere anstimmen und dein Heiligtum, deine Zauber binden wieder, was die Mode Strengheit. Alle Menschen werden hören, wo dein sanfter Flügel Freundes Reun zu sein, will alles Mal bewohnen,
Okay, this is part of the Symphony number 9 by Beethoven. This is a finished part, the Ode of Joy, which was written, the lyrics by Friedrich Schiller. And to my best remembrance, Meir Baba says that the 9th Symphony of Beethoven is the peak of music at all times, or something like this. I need to quote Baba for this, it's so obvious. It's beyond human ingenuity to write such a music. And just to, how could they put 4,000 people together? And it is 1, 2, 3, 4, all of them at once. 1, 2, 3, 4, all of them. But this, like this, if there was just a slight interference, you would say, you would sound something wrong. Everything was punk, 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 punk. This is just 10,000 people. Now this thing, science said it consists of 50 trillion cells. It's actually 15 trillion musical instruments working together in perfect harmony. That's why we create this symphony which call a human being. That's the result of all this. It's a symphony. This body, whatever you call it, if each one of us, is actually a constellation. the 50 trillion subjects. And I am, as the I am, is the Lord of this, the focal point of this universe. Each universe has its own particular name. And just imagine that the entire cosmos consists of endless billions and trillions and trillions and trillions of just galaxies. They cannot measure it. They keep on pouring into the universe, and they lost account. They have no idea what's going on. The numbers are staggering. The pleasure this Webb telescope, the new infrared telescope, and the telescope told the science that what they learned till now, it was completely wrong. The universe is twice as big. And they measured our constellation, the Milky Way. The Milky Way is just a little dot in the entire known universe, which is consists of billions and trillions of such like galaxies. And we have a really big galaxy, and it's actually infinitude, and we cannot understand what's going on. Just imagine to comprehend the being of the center on earth, whom we call Meir Baba. He knows how to play on all these universes. Once I brought the simile of the divine status of the avatar, that he can play on the piano. Just imagine a celestial piano with infinite keys, and he plays on all these keys at once without any mistake. Well, this keyboard behind me is 88, and I keep on making mistakes. I'm not such a great pianist anyway, but I am aware of this. And it's unbelievable. So we, 8 billion people, so small, such a number cannot play the symphony. What's wrong with all of us? We play the symphony, and if you could see, there are contradictions in the symphony. Without contradictions, there's the genius of the composer to bring all these contrapuncts, all the opposition, all the we have the high notes, the soprano, the vocals and the instruments, and the flute, and all the way down the tuba and the bassoon, etc. It has to blend all this together, and they play against each other and create this incredible phenomenon of voices and sounds, and creates the symphony. And the human symphony should have been like this. Still, we decided that we know to write music better than the master creator. That's why it looks like a hell of a mess, and everybody's speaking about peace, and they don't understand what they're talking about. And the real tragedy is that all our spiritual forums where I'm visiting, they have no idea whatsoever about this. They don't know what we make now. Everybody is thrilled. There's going to be peace in the Middle East. What kind of peace is this? Of course, it's not going to be a peace. It's going to be pieces. I call it pieces of peace, because everybody is threatening everybody. Everybody is on the alert. This one is searching this, and this one is searching this. I'm not going to all these politicians on earth. None of them have any idea whatsoever what you're talking about. This brings us to continue with the discourses of Meir Baba on the problem of Sanskaras. To understand Sanskara, this is a key issue of creation. If you don't understand the problem of Sanskaras, you don't understand anything. That's what it is. I started the first sessions from the discourses on the ego. Ego is actually the culmination of Sanskaras. What you see here, these are the conglomeration of Sanskaras of eons of time. I moved to the creation at a certain point. I started to move. It started to move. Each movement, Sanskara. Everything is accumulating what we call subconscious mind. It's being solidified. And this solidification actually is being manifested as a form. Start with the minutest particles, an atom, molecules, cells, living cells, minerals, the whole spectrum of creation. Till reach the stage of human, what do you call human? This is a manifestation, conglomeration of crystallized thoughts. We are thinking, we have the capability of thinking, we develop all this, and it sinks into the material, into the physical form, and it creates a form. And this totally backwards of what the science thinks, that the forms creates the consciousness, all backwards. Consciousness creates forms. That's the way it goes. Okay. And then if humanity will not understand it, bring its own extinction, that's certain. By now, the negative karma of the world is, if this is a positive and this is a negative, it goes like this. It skyrocketed the negative, and the positive is on the earth, because there is the people, the spiritual people who have no idea whatsoever how to counterbalance the negative energies which most of ignorant humans produce. They don't know how to do it, so they refuse to do it, and they complain. Why is the world in such a mess? I don't know, it's some kind of cosmic tragic comedy of this humanity. Okay, I'll share the discourses as time permitting. We might have a short session this time. We'll have to stop at a certain point, and we'll continue. We will continue a little bit later today. And we have 4 discourses on Sanskaras, the crucially important. I was trying to put all these, I don't know from where I got the word document for this. Don't ask me. Okay. Actually, 4 discourses on Sanskaras. Baba said his mastery is Sanskaras, and I definitely agree with him. He gave me a special tutoring how to deal with Sanskaras from 1976 in 1991. There I had to continue working on these issues on my own accord. And I've realized through this long experience, tutorial under his strict supervision, I became sensitive when people are getting enmeshed unnecessarily with unnatural sanskara, which binds them and might create them, unfortunately, a setback, which happens to most of humanity. And that the people who come so close to the threshold of the avatar, and they create the same setback because they don't understand sanskara, what's the problem with sanskaras and how to deal with it. And that's a real tragedy. If most of humanity will be wiped out, it's totally natural. There's nothing to be concerned about this. Don't need to be concerned whatsoever about the present situation of humanity. It's all self-created. We don't need to blame anyone, because we spiritual people, we are not providing the spiritual government on us. And still, we don't blame anyone. Baba didn't come here and didn't blame anyone, just offer us which direction to go. But for me, all what I understood from him is that already he didn't try to rehabilitate humanity as the Master Moses did. This was presumably the last opportunity of rehabilitating humanity, to put it back in its proper spiritual stance. And what the Avatar does, he lets this creation continues in spite of all the odds. He has the power and the authority to allow it, even if they're not functioning, even not functioning at all. He knows what he's doing. So all this mess is due to the decision of the Avatar. Formation and function of sanskaras. There are 2 aspects of human experience, the subjective and objective. On the one hand, there are mental processes that constitute essential ingredients of human experience, and on the other hand, there are things and objects to which they refer. The mental processes are partially dependent upon the immediately given objective situation and partially dependent upon the functioning of accumulated sanskaras or impressions of previous experiences. The human mind thus finds itself between a sea of past sanskaras on the one side and the all-extensive objective world on the other. Human actions are based upon the operation of the impressions stored in the mind. The previous experiences, every thought, emotion, and act is grounded in groups of impressions that, when considered objectively, are seen to be modifications of the mind. These impressions are deposits of previous experiences and become the most important factors in determining the course of present and future experience. The mind is constantly creating and gathering such impressions in the course of its experience. Just a minute.
What do you want?
Can't
No, what are you doing? What are you doing? Keep the door open. I didn't say that.
So we can continue for a while. When occupied with the physical objects of this world, such as the body, nature, and other things, the mind is, so to say, externalized and creates gross impressions. When it is busy with its own subjective mental processes, which are the expressions of already existing sanskaras, it creates subtle and mental impressions. The question whether sanskaras come first or experience comes first is like the question whether the hen or the egg comes first. Both are conditions of each other and develop side by side. The problem of understanding the significance of human experience, therefore, turns around the problem of understanding the formation and function of sanskaras. The sanskaras are of two types, natural and non-natural, according to the manner in which they come into existence. The sanskaras the soul gathers during the period of organic evolution are natural. We have to really understand, it's crucial to understand what are natural sanskaras and non-natural. Actually, the gist of this, natural sanskaras eventually brings us to the goal. Non-natural sanskaras takes us away from the goal. And the most horrible thing is criticism and judgment and complaints, all these 7 ugly systems. They bring us down. These are all unnatural sanskaras. Every word and every feeling we do is being imprinted in the subconscious mind, and we cannot erase it. Only the perfect masters and the avatar can erase sanskaras. We cannot erase sanskaras. At least I can, maybe you can, I don't know. These sanskaras come into existence. The soul successively takes up in abundance the various subhuman forms that gradually passing from apparently inanimate states, such as stone or metal, to the human state, where there is full development of consciousness. All the sanskaras that cluster around the soul before it attains the human form are the product of natural evolution and are referred to as natural sanskaras. It should be attainment of the human form. So you can see here we're discussing sanskaras start only at the human form. No, they start at the very beginning as we enter the creation. As soon as we oozed out of the own point, we started to circulate. Each circle is a sanskara. Everything is being stored in the subconscious mind. These are all of them natural. Only humans can create non-natural sanskaras. And this is what ampersand are ongoing march of creation. The sanskaras that get attached to the soul during the human stage are cultivated under the moral freedom of consciousness, which is accompanying responsibility of choice between good and bad, virtue and vice. They are referred to as non-natural sanskaras. So these post-human sanskaras are directly dependent upon the natural. They are created under fundamentally different conditions of life and are, in their origin, comparatively more recent than the natural sanskaras. This difference in the length of the formative periods and in the conditions of formation is responsible for the difference in the degree of firmness of attachment of the natural and non-natural sanskaras to the soul. The non-natural sanskaras are not as difficult to eradicate as the natural, which have an ancient heritage and are therefore more firmly rooted. The obliteration of the natural sanskaras is practically impossible unless the neophyte is a recipient of the grace and the intervention of a sadguru or perfect master. This sort of in reverse what I said before, but I meant the natural sanskaras. I meant what brings us to the goal. Eventually, the entire creation is supposed to bring us to the goal. And what we humans will create an obstacles before us. Anyway, to reach the threshold eventually of Sadguru, the perfect master, or whatever school of spirituality we can participate with. The non-natural sanskaras dependent upon the natural, and the natural sanskaras are a result of evolution. The next important question is, why should manifested life in different stages of evolution emerge out of the absolute reality, which is infinite? The need for manifested life arises out of the impetus in the absolute to become conscious of itself. The progressive manifestation of life through evolution is ultimately brought about by the will to be conscious, which is inherent in the infinite in order to understand creation in terms of thought. It is necessary to posit this will to be conscious in the absolute, the latent state prior to the act of manifestation. Although for the purposes of an intellectual explanation of creation, the impetus in the absolute has to be regarded as a will to be conscious. To describe it as a sort of inherent desire is to falsify its true nature. It is better described as a lahar, or an impulse, which is so inexplicable, spontaneous, sudden, that to call it this or that is to have its reality undone. As all intellectual categories necessarily turn out to be inadequate for grasping the mystery of creation, the nearest approach to understanding its nature is not through intellectual concept, but through analogy. Just as a wave going across the surface of a still ocean calls forth into being a wild stream of innumerable bubbles, the Lara creates myriads of individual souls out of the indivisible infinity of the Oversoul. The all-abounding absolute remains the substratum of all the individual souls. The individual souls are the creations of a sudden and spontaneous impulse, and have, therefore, hardly any anticipation of their destined continuity of existence throughout the cyclic period until the final subsiding of the initial stir. Within the undifferentiated being of the Absolute is born the mysterious point, the own point through which comes forth the variegated manyness of creation, the vasty deep, which a fraction of a second before was I see still, is still, is the life of innumerable worthy selves who secure their separateness, indefinite size and shape through self-limitation within the foamy surface of the ocean. Here I'm going to stop and make a continuation later on. Okay. I'll stop the recording. Thank you. And